Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrea, and today I'll talk to you about Astrodyne. So, as most of you know, satellites rely primarily on solar energy to power their missions. However, power production currently represents a key bottleneck in the space field. Because on one hand, satellites have an increasingly high need for energy on board, but on the other hand, solar arrays remain systems that are very expensive, as they can actually be the second to third largest cost item in the entire mission. They're very complex to manufacture and assemble, and they also have very long lead times that can go from 12 to 18 months. So how do we solve the problem? At Astrodyne, we have created a textile-based solar array for satellites. You can see here in different shapes and configurations that is able to achieve some incredible performance metrics. We're able to create twice the power at the same mass and volume compared to traditional solutions on the market, or at the same power output, we're able to decrease the weight by 60% and bring down the costs up to 90% by using alternative materials and components. How do we do it? At Astrodyne, we have developed an innovative textile substrate, as you can see here, which includes the rigid flexible electronics in orange and yellow, and a high-performance textile substrate in gray. The result is an electromechanical layer that is highly reliable, versatile, and can be actually bent and folded in different shapes and configurations. It is extremely resilient to the condition of outer space, because we only use TRL9 materials, so materials that have already been used in space. And it's a very innovative layer that is based on the ultra-lightweightness. But who are we? We're an Italian startup that has already built a solid foundations for our future ambitions. The product is currently at TRL6, and we are planning for our in-orbit demonstration at the beginning of next year. We have raised up to 2 million in funding. We're very active in the industry and with academia. And we have 9 people in the team currently hiring, so we will be more soon. And all of the team is highly specialized. We are also working on a 2 million euro seed round that will allow us to become the leading provider of solar arrays for space applications. There is one more thing, though. We have realized that the product that we are developing for space applications also holds a huge potential for terrestrial market. So we started working on a light transportable solar panel for Earth applications. You can see here. The idea basically is the same. It's an ultra lightweight substrate that is able to bring down the weight up to 95%, so from about 20 kg per meter squared for terrestrial applications to 1 kg per meter squared for our case. It includes high-performance solar cells, and we're looking into applications such as temporary camps and shelters, marine applications, or, for example, the agriculture field. This is us, so please, for any questions, I'm available. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrea. Do we have any question from the audience?
Yes, thank you for your presentation. I may have a question about what you said. The solar panel could be 95% lighter. Where did you take this number? Did you test it on laboratory, in space? What are the next steps to validate what you just presented?
I'll go back. So typically, a rigid traditional solar panel for terrestrial applications weighs per meter squared, it's around 20 kg. The one that you see in picture, we weighted it, it's 1 kg. So it's a 95% reduction. We're currently in the prototyping phase for terrestrial applications because it's all obviously a lot easier. So we're prototyping, testing, and it's going a lot quicker than the space one, because the space one has to be tested I mean, also the terrestrial one, but the space one in different conditions. Has to be tested, has to be like approved before being integrated in the satellite. So on the space side, if I remember well the question, on the space side, after the in-orbit demonstration next year, we will definitely start the commercial phase and also scale up to bigger sizes, because we're starting with a CubeSat-sized solar array, which is the one above. And for the terrestrial side, well, we are prototyping and looking into all these use cases to try and see which are the ones in which we really have the traction on the market. Thanks for the question. Any other question? Don't be shy.
Okay, great. Thank you
Right.
again,
Thank you very
Andrea.
much.
Thanks. Great. So the next to come on stage is Charlotte from Touch Waves. Okay, and you have the screen there.
Today's technology is advancing fast and often creating extreme conditions. Conditions where we humans often are the weakest link. And that's what we are working at Touch Waves. Our mission is to improve the human performance. I'm Charlotte Chelander, co-founder and CEO of Touch Waves, and together with my co-founder Martin, we have decades of experience in clothing integrated wearables, wearables for defense applications and entrepreneurship. We focus on those needing to make split-second decisions, where these decisions make a large impact. What do you think would happen if this fighter pilot faints because of hypoxia? It's a catastrophe and loss of lives and large costs, up to $100 million. And that is where we come in. We know that defense needs wearables, not only for data monitoring, but for actionable support for decision making. Our solution is a hard and software part, helping those in extreme environments to get a better oxygen uptake for the mental and physical performance. It's a block of 3 parts: haptics for alerts and for stimulating and activating deep breathing and mental balance, sensors for biomonitoring for direct physiological feedback, and a data management platform for personalized insights and control of the system. We see that we use this system in 3 areas: before, during, and after mission. We work with touch. Touch to be as an alert for the pilot in hypoxia so that he knows he has to take up more oxygen. We use touch to activate the breathing muscles for deep breathing for the oxygen increase. And we use touch for stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system. Can you hear me? For balance. We have tested our solution with the Dutch Air Force, and they see that pilots in hypoxia, in the hyperbaric chamber, get a significant increase of the oxygen intake using our haptic vests. The market is large. It's a dual-use product, expanding later on to the healthcare, but our first target market are the fighter jet pilots. We are selling both the hardware and the subscription to the data management platform, of course starting with the pilot projects, developing the product to the sales and to the for we bring it to the market. Even though we are a hardware company, we already have traction today. traction in solder pilot projects, and this is increasing in the coming years. We have a pipeline working with the Dutch Air Force, but also with special police forces and ground forces. At this moment, part of the plan is that we are fundraising at this moment. We have still space for more investors, small investors, and we are particularly looking for investors that can also bring in specific know-how in the defense industry. And that is how we want to bridge the gap between the increase and the fast increase in technology, so that we can also increase our human performance to get to the same level. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlotte. Do we have some question? Okay.
Thank you so much, Charlotte. Can you tell us, is there any other are there any other use cases of this technology? So right now you're focusing on pilots, correct? But
yeah.
What's in the pipeline for the future?
So at this moment we focus on the pilots, following the oxygen uptake that they have. Increasing your oxygen and to your brain functions makes you less fatigue. So we see it's important also for tank operators as well as divers. And for all recovery systems for us, for militaries coming back from battlefield to recover, to be faster, able to start a new mission, so shorten the recovery time. So broad also to all military sectors. So you start with the military and then going slowly over to the civilian counterparties there. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, for the third pitch of this morning session, I would like to welcome Nicolas from SKI Tech. Thanks.
Hello everyone. I'm glad to be here today to talk about a problem, a pretty common problem, which is creating schedules. But I'm going to do it in a pretty unique way, because we're going to talk about creating crew schedules in airlines. So crew schedules in airlines is a real painful problem for a dispatcher, because this scheduler must create the schedule for their pilots, captain, flight attendant, with every flight of their company. This is something complex because it takes into account a lot of different subjects, which operational, legal, also preferences from their pilots, and in a really short, with a really few capacity to do it. So it's really hard to do this schedule under this condition. That's why we created SkyTech, which is a platform with AI model in order to take into account all of these constraints, teams and tasks, to create efficiently these schedules and help the schedulers on every step of the creation of the schedule. So we are an AI-powered SaaS solution that empowers planners in order to reduce weeks of work in just few hours. The three main value of our platform is interoperability, because we can create seamless connection with the operational system of airlines. Also customization in order to be able to integrate the internal rules. And finally, automation, which can be the most important, because we can generate automatically optimized schedule for the planner. So we can transform weeks of work in just few hours, respecting all the constraints, and that's really optimized scheduling for the scheduler. In our platform, we have several products. The first product, which takes place in the first step of the creation of a schedule, is the crew rostering, where you can take for the schedulers every training session, holidays, preferences, and create the schedule based on the goal of a company to be able to be sure to meet every needs every day for a scheduler. Then you must create the crew schedule, so the flight-by-flight assignment of every captain, pilot, flight attendant, which is a real pain for a scheduler. And we automated it with our algorithm to be able to create, based on the availability we created before, every flight and with every crew. With our platform, we can have multiple gains. Firstly, productivity, because we are a real alternative for a really strained market labor, where very few people are trained to do this task. So it's really interesting for a company that is growing to be able to meet up with the demand on the operational team. And also, transforming transforming the weeks of works into just few hours. Another point which is really interesting is the social aspect of our solution, because by respecting crew preference and having a neutral object to create the schedule, you can ensure social peace in between the crew, which can be a real pain also for airlines. And finally, financially, we can reduce a lot of cost for airlines. Firstly, the overtime of crew, of the most used crew, because with a more balanced workload, you can reduce this overtime. And the positioning flights, which are the non-necessary flights that need to be done by a pilot before its flight if he is not starting at his own base. And that would cost a lot for a company. Finally, who we are. So we're a team of 5 people with both knowledge in artificial intelligence and aeronautics. And we are also supported by key players of the French ecosystem of startups, such as ESSEC, Centrale Supélec, Station F, and also we take part in a program, Google for Startup, which help us on every aspect of the architecture of the product. Thank you very much for your attention. I'd be glad to continue the discussion with you to discuss also our business case with different airlines. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicolas. Do you have any question?
Thank you so much. So what's your biggest challenge right now?
So we want to be able to address more and more company, because we focus on a smaller company with less than 35 aircraft. So we want to improve the capacity of our AI to be able to tackle bigger national company, and also be able to implement more of our product in the new clients that we have.
Any other question? Great. Thank you
very much.
And last but not least, we'll have Joost.
Well pronounced.
Yay. From Alatier.
So good morning, everybody. So my name is Joost, and I work at Alatier as Commercial Director. So at Alatier, we are developing and will operate fully robotic space infrastructures. Now, to show what I mean with that, I have a short video. So this is a 15-ton fully robotic station, which will remain in orbit permanently and is resupplied by space transportation vehicles using a system where we actually grab containers from those vehicles and transfer the contents inside the station, where we have a fully automated laboratory, which is able to operate continuously and provide remote access to researchers so that they can, after having done an experiment, immediately relaunch the experiment and not have to wait for the next flight. Of course, the space station will serve the needs of what's already being done today by space agencies for research in R&D, in microgravity, as well as to really change the paradigm to be compatible with biotech applications on Earth, for research applications on Earth, which means that we have to be much faster and much cheaper so that people can really develop new applications for new therapeutic applications. Now, all the underlying technologies that we are developing here are, of course, fully relevant also for space exploration, robotic space exploration further than low Earth orbit. Because if we can operate such a station at 400 kilometers, of course we can also operate it at 400,000 kilometers, for instance, on the surface of the moon. And of course, this is also absolutely critical in an overall where we have an ecosystem of transportation vehicles and space stations working together for all future orbital operations, be it civil, be it military. And just to give you an example, you can really think of applications where you have a warehousing, where you're storing small orbital vehicles on such a station, so that you have a reactive capability when these vehicles are needed in orbit. And this is typically a use case that the Department of Defense is working on. So today already we have started working on the first station. It's a small station, a 1.5 ton class station, where we already find all the key capabilities of the big station, where we are targeting to be not just 50 times cheaper, but especially 50 times faster, which is the key point to enable also commercial applications, and really shift the paradigm from fundamental research to industrial research compatible with the needs of biotech. Now, to perform this, of course, we're going to be relying on many existing technologies that are perfectly available in Europe, and we're working closely with several strategic partners, big OEMs, small OEMs, and suppliers, building on all the developments in orbit servicing that have been performed over the last few years. However, we've also identified a couple of capability gaps, for instance, on automated laboratory and on robotic logistic interfaces. So we've started, and we've already, actually the delivery of the first payload that will fly on a small capsule by Orbital Paradigm later this year, the Newton, has been delivered yesterday to them in Spain. And we will be flying a much larger automated laboratory on a parabolic flight end of September with the support of the French Space Agency, CNES. And as I said, absolutely critical in our architecture is that we are interoperable with many types of space transportation vehicles, either those that stay in orbit or those that come back from orbit. And that's why we have this, what we call the space pod concept, where we transport consumables, new cell lines, new experiments inside these pressurized pods. And then instead of attaching the vehicle to the station, we attach the containers to the station. And for that, of course, you need a pressurized interface, electric interface, etc. And so we are working on that as well. So at Alatier, we have a very strong team, not just the two co-founders with a lot of experience, but actually the whole management team with key positions in both technical side and management of complex space programs, such as the Ariane 6 program, ATV program, and then also at the beginnings of the IRIS² program and cargo for human space station programs. So at Alatier, we are really focusing on setting up fully robotic stage infrastructures. And if you want to learn more about our development roadmap and our funding, please contact me afterwards, or if you have any questions already directly, I'm here for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joost. Do we have any question from the audience?
Thank you for your presentation. I might have a quite tricky question, but that came to my mind. So you spoke about the of biotechnology research. So how you plan to navigate between both complex industry like the aerospace and the biotech technology, because the certification and regulation are quite difficult. So yes. How are you planning this in your roadmap?
It's a very good point. I didn't highlight it too much, but actually inside Alatier, we are really joining these two worlds. So we have a good part of the team, of course, working on the space side of things, but then we have another part of the team with our own biologists, our own medtech people, lab automation people, because I've been working many years in this domain, and always talking about the market will come in 5 years. That doesn't work. What works, you need to open the market yourself. And so that's why, as a company, we really have an approach to verticalize towards the market, have the competencies in-house so that we can partner up with leading institutes, leading biotech companies and pharma, to together with them, already in our laboratory, we've just opened a laboratory at our premises in Saint-Germain-en-Laye, just outside of Paris, where we perform the experiments together with our partners in our facilities. So it's exactly the very important questions. It's key to be opening up these markets.
Thank you. Any other question? Okay, great. Thanks again.
Thank you.